Let's go.
Hello, all. It's my privilege today to be interviewing my business partner, Gary Ames. Gary Ames is a licensed psychologist in Pennsylvania. We are co-owners of Behavior Analysis and Therapy Partners. So, Gary, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in California and got to go to San Francisco State, uh, where I first really developed a little love of this behavioral approach. I remember a professor who had a little pendant that he would have a little R plus on it because he was uh, a big fan of behavioral analysis and therapy. He even persuaded me to read B.F. Skinner's The Science of Human Behavior, which I enjoyed a lot. It was a very influential book to me in my going to college. Um, in 2006, I met Joe. Actually, it was on a biofeedback list. He has the business acumen to know that this was the time to get into a contract with Magellan. And he was still getting his psychology license, or his doctorate then. And so we partnered up and got the contract. And we've developed Behavior Analysis and Therapy Partners since 2006. And it's grown steadily. We opened a South Philly office a few years ago. We got a executive director, which helped us get the Philadelphia school contract. And Lynn Connor certainly led us through some wonderful transitions.
So, tell us a little bit about your clinical training, your licenses, and I know you're certified in biofeedback. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I just did that recently. I've been doing biofeedback now for about 20 years, a little less. And I just fell in love with this field. You, Joe, helped me realize that biofeedback is a kind of behavior analysis. And I'll demonstrate that in a little while. I found this to be an elegant intervention. I guess for biofeedback, you might imagine a lie detector test, where you have all these instruments on your fingers and you're looking your string gauge or your breathing rate and your heart rate and your hand temperature and how sweaty your fingers are. Instead of having somebody examining that for you, you turn all those things around on yourself so that you can imagine looking at each of those and using those instruments to show you where relaxation lies. And as you can reduce the skin sweatiness and you raise your finger temperature, reduce the muscle tension, breathe more regularly. You can use all those instruments to show you how to get to a more relaxed state. That's biofeedback.
Now, now, I know we're expanding our outpatient clinic a little to be doing more biofeedback stuff. How do you envision the biofeedback being done in our outpatient clinic?
I can imagine a couple of things. There are usually instruments that go along with biofeedback. They can be as simple as a thermometer that you can hold with your finger on the bulb, and it starts to go up from the ambient temperature and goes more to your finger temperature. And then biofeedback says, prefer higher numbers. This brings around an autonomic relaxation. This is a little device that helps you to breathe in a particularly good way. I know a lot of behavior therapists talk about, take a deep breath or do something with breathing. Well, we can be more precise with those instructions with a biofeedback device. We have an alliance with a company that has an excellent remedy for both PTSD and panic disorder that uses a breathing biofeedback for that, and they're getting some good insurance coverage. So those are some of the devices that we might use. And then we'll talk a little bit later about the brainwave biofeedback that I do all day, every day here. And that could also be a powerful intervention for behavior analysis and therapy partners as it gets integrated into what we do.
So what do you see as your role currently with behavior analysis and therapy partners?
Well, I'm an advocate for biofeedback, but mostly I'm behind the scenes. I do administration. I have done some MT work in the past. I've written psychological evaluations, supervised TSSs at times. But more I participate in the higher level meetings, and I have great admiration for the people that I see around this company, the dedication that they have to their craft and to the patients that we have. Most people will just see me as the signer of their paychecks, which is fine by me.
So you brought up supervision. Tell us a little bit about your orientation to supervision and what do you hope to get with your supervisees?
One of the things I love about biofeedback is that it's really fairly easy to learn how to administer it and do it. As a behavioral therapy technique, there's a lot of ease of use. When we start doing brainwave biofeedback, there's some videos to be able to see. It's a turnkey systems that you can learn how to put sensors on the scalp and clean the earlobes, and how to operate the computer to be able to get the right screen to be able to start delivering the brainwave biofeedback. When I'm doing the regular behavior therapy supervision, I looked for people's passion and dedication. I really tried to emphasize the work that they were doing well. I really liked emphasizing and reinforcing good work. That was my favorite way to supervise those people. And when I was in the field, I liked that approach as well.
What populations do you find that you're mainly treating, and how do you go about setting goals with that population? How is the child and the family included in the process of the goals you set?
Yeah. I've got an even broader range of conditions that I can treat with my brainwave biofeedback. ADHD, anxiety, mood, insomnia, nightmares, PTSD, a broad range of emotional and cognitive issues, and even some more physical issues, brain injury, migraine. I just had a patient here a little while ago with Lyme disease and having all the sequelae of the fatigue that came with that. And I hope to be able to treat her with brainwave biofeedback.
So how do you assess your
But
client
you
and
asked me
how
about
they
goals settings, and here's something where I think I've learned a lot from you. I like setting goals as specifically as possible, numerically, frequencies, intensity, duration, or the impact on your life. For example, people feel anxious whenever they get near a car. Or I work with sleep a lot, so we can count how long does it take you to fall asleep, or the number of wakenings, or sometimes just hours of that you are asleep, are good growth area goals because we can see them moving over sessions. How long does it take you to do 30 minutes worth of homework? Is it 2 hours? How often are you finding you're losing things and having to look for things? That getting those good behavior analysis goals is something I've really gotten from working with Joe.
and how would you say though that that helps you to connect with the child, to build a relationship with the child, um, or the adult that you're doing therapy
Yeah,
with?
I will too often say to people, listen, I'm sorry, you have a neurological, genetically inherited neurological disorder. This is causing you these troubles. It's not your fault. But if we will concentrate on this work and we look at your goals, we have a high degree of confidence that we can probably make your life easier in the long term.
And how do you go about then assessing what the needs are, not just of the clients you work with, but also maybe even the supervisees that you're supervising?
The supervisees are tougher because I don't think I was skilled enough as a supervisor to be able to have the full range of capabilities that a clinician should have, and to be able to assess how good are they at each of those aspects, so that I could make a map of where the areas that need improvement and what strengths can they continue to use to be most effective on their job. I think that's probably something I better left to the people who are doing it all the time.
All right. So, how do you encourage your supervisees to collect data when you're doing therapy yourself? What kind of data do you find that you're collecting?
Just those growth areas I described. I usually have 4 of those at most, 2 to 4, and concentrate on the areas that are most impacting the quality of their life. That's what I look at. That's what I want to measure. That's what I want to see get better.
How often do you find you're sharing that kind of data with the parent or with the child themselves or any other clients that you have? How often are you sharing that material with them?
I see people more than once a week is my requirement, at least twice. And I find that checking in on those growth areas just once a week is sufficient. Now, for me, it's possible to have an adverse reaction. Some people get a headache. Some people can get a little trouble sleeping that night. And so I monitor that after each session. And if it's really an issue that they get fatigued and it's a problem, then we can adjust the feedback so that doesn't occur. With the supervisees, we're working with our children. It's fairly similar. Check in regularly, and we have the numbers to be able to help guide us toward a better quality of life. That's the beauty of the behavior analysis approach, is that we have behavior to analyze.
How often do you find that you're like involved in adjusting your treatment based on the data you're getting?
This is specialized for me. For most issues, I work a couple of few inches, 4 fingers above the ear, and that is good for a lot of emotional. And that's maybe the only place I work. Other people, I'll put the sensors here if they have more attention issues. And the other thing that I can do is put one sensor back here. I lay people back, close their eyes, relax, and I can get them profoundly relaxed, and that's good for resolving psychological trauma.
How long would, if a parent came to you and said, or a client came to you and says, how long after I start treatment should I expect before I start noticing improvement? What would you tell them?
5 to 8 sessions. If they're coming at least twice a week,
So 5 to 8
5 to 8.
sessions will be
If
the
they
part
come more frequently, maybe a little sooner. And they'll set some sort of a record for themselves. Something
okay.
not subtle will be noticed.
Mhm. Okay. They say that there's many ways to skin a cat, and the same could be said that for behavioral treatment. How do you go selecting a particular intervention, and what role does the client or parent play in that process of getting or making that choice on which interventions they're going to use?
For me, this is very programmed. Everybody starts here. Bipolar people may get a different program. People with a lot of trauma get more relaxation work. But the system that I have is fairly well defined answers to those questions. Can I try and give people a little 80-second commercial that'll have a few things that'll help make this make some more sense. This is my wife is my volunteer for this session. And I want you to listen to the sounds that are there because those are the guiding sounds. I think of the kind of biofeedback I do as learning to drive down the center of the lane. You're driving and you're getting a bubble over here. Bubble, all right, now center of the lane there, more like this, less like that, and more like, hey, there it is. And being able to drive down the center of 8 lanes at the same time is what I do. And the graphics you're going to see, the fractal images on the screen are generated by the brainwaves and a complete reflection of what's going on there under the hood. Let's see if I can share my screen and show you this little commercial before we come back. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Gary Ames, a licensed psychologist specializing in EEG biofeedback. First, I'll get to know you and we'll set some goals around what's hurting the quality of your life. Then we'll do EEG biofeedback exercises that will make your brain work better, more calm and focused. Don't worry, biofeedback is powerful, but doesn't hurt at all. We read your brainwaves, so the software can show you how to exercise the underactive parts of your brain and calm the parts that are going too fast. No electricity goes into you. Biofeedback is like learning to drive a car in the middle of the lane. The brainwaves interact with audio-visual information, and that gradually improves how you're operating your brain all the time. In your life, this will feel like more calm and focus. You'll feel a reduction of anxiety, ADHD, autism, anger, depression, insomnia, addictions, migraine, etc. And this biofeedback can also repair PTSD, brain injuries, and chronic pain. Almost everyone gets substantial and enduring benefits. If you want to resolve the issues that are most comparing, call.
All right, that's enough of that. Okay, thank you for letting me show you that. I hope that cleared up the kind of audio-visual feedback that I can give dozens of times per second.
Okay, so how do you ensure that people are aware of what you're doing so that they don't feel as though your process is intrusive, that they feel as though they're part of?
Yeah, it's easier for all of you than me. What I do sounds so mysterious, you know, what's more complex than the brain? Working with behavior, you get the real advantage of here are the targets, here's our method, they make sense, and we know they work. That's why we do it this way. Trust us, we're the experts. You have to earn that trust and demonstrate that it works fairly soon. But it's always a challenge. You like getting referrals. So I just got, you know, the head of the Cleveland Clinic just recommended this person come to me for neurofeedback for her problems. So that's very helpful. But we've got the Surgeon General for behavior analysis, and this is a more advanced and accepted field of behavior analysis than mine of neurofeedback.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about how you communicate basically the effectiveness and possible side effects of your intervention with clients, with their families.
I just brag mostly to talk about the benefits. Sometimes I'll point people to my website, calmfocus.com, and have a few comments there from patients. I just tried to tell people this is good and it works, strange as it is. And for adverse effects, yeah, I give people a little checklist. Here's what I'm going to be. How did you sleep tonight? Will be my the question I'm going to have for them when they come back for a second session. And that's fairly rare that you get any adverse reactions, but you've got to check because it happens occasionally.
Okay, just the last question. Is there anything you want to add or tell the listeners to this about what you do and how you do it?
Thank you, Joe. I think I've said it. I've said it all. I've said it too much, probably. But I believe in the work that Behavior Analysis Therapy Partners does. I see all the binders full of patients that we have and the kind of good results that they're getting. And I see how many people love the company and the training they get, the advancement, the careers that are created here. We've had people with us the entire 15 years of our history, have been with us and stayed with us. I'm delighted with the retention that we have of our talented people. And I think you are the person the most credit with that. You and Helena. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Thank you for doing this interview. This was a 20-minute interview with Gary Ames, my business partner at Behavior Analysis and Therapy Partners. If you're looking to get in touch with us at Behavior Analysis and Therapy Partners, you can contact us at 610-662-6000. Again,
No,
610.
no, that's not correct. 610-664-6200.
Oh, sorry about that. Again, 610-664-6200.
And
Thank
let's
you very
make
much
sure
for your
we get
time.
our, let me make sure we get our website correct so that they can look there. It's, give me a second to get, let me see. I'm sorry, this shouldn't take more than a minute here. But it is taking more than a minute. Behavior analysis therapy, is that right? Let me, yeah, behavior analysis therapy.com is our website. Behavior analysis therapy.com is our website, 664-6200. Thank you, Joe.
Did you stop the recording?
I did not stop it.
Stop the recording. Hit stop.
It's